Every week I start this show, and every week I have my notes and I have my show planned out. And every week I fully intend to say the words, please like, share, and subscribe this channel. And I always forget to do it. I get caught up in everything else. If every person on my Facebook page subscribed to this channel, I would break the magic number that suddenly starts unlocking all sorts of magical YouTube powers. And if everybody who liked and shared and subscribed to this channel followed my Facebook page, I also would have new magical powers over there. So please, if you like what I'm doing, like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Even if you want to go, you will not believe what this guy talks about on YouTube. And I would really appreciate it. And now, on to the show. Hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I am the Associate Broker, Residential Sales Manager for ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. It looks like it is episode 66. So, I hope you guys are all having a good week. Personal note, my cold is recovering. It has sunk down into my chest, and so I am still coughing every once in a while. So watch for the sudden jumps when I have to hit the cough button. And it's the first week of May. We are rocking through the various first week of May festivities. Cinco De Mayo is today. Hope you guys are all going to go out and have a good time tonight. Do not drink and drive, and do not drink and park, because accidents cause children. So, that all being said, I promised you last week that we're going to be covering stuff about pool safety, because we are on record, or at least the news is saying we're going to hit 100 degrees this weekend, which means people are going to be spending more times in the swimming pool, which means we have to discuss pool safety. And the first, I want to talk about the news that's been coming up. Still dealing with the ramifications of those court cases last week, and various agencies are going in various directions on that. And we're still having a lot of conversation there. I think, honestly, there are news that hits the industry, and maybe only 10 to 20% of real estate agents actually track that at any one time. And so when it finally does come down, they're always shocked and amazed. Oh my God, how did this happen? What was going on? It's like, well, it's because you're not paying attention to your industry. You might be concentrating on your social media accounts. You might be going to those big fancy brokerage showings with the free wine and cheese, sitting around talking about how successful you are as a real estate agent, or not, or whatever is coming up. But, if you're a professional, you really should be tracking what's going on in your industry. So I encourage any agents out there, if you don't have time to follow it, hey, watch my channel. I do cover a lot of the important things you need to know. So numbers this week are definitely going in the direction I've been saying that they were going to go in. Our interest rates, last one I got quoted was 5.875. Back there on my whiteboard, I keep important information, whatnot, in various areas, and you can see in that I've gotten to the point where I'm just tracking the numbers and writing it down on the big board every day, just so when I have to quote a number to somebody, I can do it. Remember, when it comes to lending, just because we're quoting you 5.875 from the lenders, that doesn't mean that specifically that's what your number is going to be. Your interest rate is going to be based on various things. Your credit score, your debt-to-income ratio. You're going to be also looking at whether or not you're using a first-time homebuyer program. And also remember, with first-time homebuyer programs, some of them actually get you a lower rate simply for taking an online class from HUD about how to be a homeowner. And you don't actually have to be a first-time home buyer. You can just qualify for it as you fall into, I haven't had my own house for the last 5 years, or this or that, or I fall below a certain income ratio. Talk to your lenders on that when you get going. And I have always stated that everybody's very first move when looking at buying a house is talk to your lender first. And I want to put a little caveat on that, because as things have gone on in the last couple of years, if you are looking at buying a new house and you have an old house you have to sell or want to sell, I'm no longer encouraging people to go directly to the lender first. Call your agent. All right. With the market the way things are right now, and with people who are usually, when they're buying a house, are going to qualify for a loan, but it's going to be a requirement that they sell their old house first before they get that loan. They're not going to get the money unless they don't have a warranty. Geez. Lack of sleep is starting to get to me. Mortgage or anything floating out there. You start getting in this weird little thing of, well, we need to sell the house to buy a house, but we can't find to buy a house before we sell a house. So what are we going to do? And if we need that money, what do we do? Just go live in a hotel room for 60 to 90 days before we do get a new house? There are more and more different programs out there that we here at ProStar have vetted, tested, and are using to help the homeowner who wants to transition either into the bigger house, into the smaller house, moving across town, moving across country, that will help you out in this thing. We got the programs, we got the systems in place. So if you are looking at doing one of those lateral up moves or anything, get rid of this place, get into another place, start giving us a call first, and we will sit down and talk with you and figure out what your specific situation is, and basically which one of the golf clubs we have in our bag over here is going to be best for you. We don't live in a one-size-fit-all situation anymore. We got at least 3 or 4 off the top of my head right now of how we could deal with that. And everybody is different, right? So this is not something that's just going to be a Google search. How do I buy a house if I have to sell my old house? Because you're going to find an answer to that, and you're going to find somebody who wants you to pick them as the best answer. But give us a call. We'll talk it over with you. And that all being said, let me explain one of the reasons why this has become more and more important. These are the numbers for May 4th, 2022. Our actives this week are 6,226. We have broken the 6,000 mark. We are 535 above what it was last week. Of those, 2,774 are brand new listings, just hit the market this week, which is up 10. Our pendings are at 1,842, which is down 44. Under contracts looking for backups are 1,107, up 8. And our contracts with a buyer's contingency, meaning they have to sell their house before they can afford this new house, is at 102. We've seen that buyer's contingency spike a little bit. That's usually a really good sign that sellers are no longer getting the huge amount of offers and need to start looking at those less desirable offers to accept that. Just to say, if those 102 buyers who are also needing to be sellers had contacted ProStar Realty, they would still be under contract, but they'd be right over here in the pending, because they would have been able to get under contract without having to deal with the contingency of selling their house. Right. Closings last week were 2,860, up 674. That's what the end of the month does for you. And coming soon to an MLS year near you is 1,252. That is up. So our demand from the Cromford report is now at 105.5, all right, or 101.5, sorry about that, which is down from last week. And our supply is at 27, which is up about 1.5 points from the week before. So as we can see, as the demand is dropping off, here comes the supply. Now, we are still at a 4-to-1 ratio. At least on this thing. All right. We have visualize 101 people looking at 27 houses. And when you add on top of that the scale of how expensive those houses are and what those locations are. Remember, billionaires can buy a $300,000 house. A person who barely qualifies for $300,000 cannot buy the billionaire's house. Right. So the lower down you go into your price range and everything like that, the more competition there is. So That's why we're still seeing the long lines. We're still seeing the bidding wars. We're still going to be seeing that. And we're going to be seeing that for quite some time. But how do you factor in when you're going into this particular market? You really don't want to be this person coming in there with a buyer's contingency. You want to be dealing with some other way. You want to be able to write a very clean, no contingency offer, and quite possibly still taking care of the appraisal contingency. You don't have to say 100%, I don't care what it appraises for, we'll buy it and we'll make up the difference. You can do those in various blocks. Hey, we'll go 5,000 above appraisal if we miss, 10,000 above appraisal, and appraisals are still missing. Appraisers are claiming that people are overvaluing their property, and and agents are saying, multiple agents I know are saying, that the appraisers are just picking absolute crap comps and using those instead, and actually seem to be trying to drive it down. But real estate agents are a naturally paranoid and suspicious bunch, so it could be one or the other on that. So that's where we're all at right now. The reason I wanted to talk about swimming pools is not just because we're getting into early summer, late spring, and whatnot, but is because I got this in the mail the other day. Now, I'm covering up the logo and the phone number of these guys. But what these guys are is they will actually come to your house and put an above-ground swimming pool in to your backyard. And what they'll do is they are actually leasing it to you. And for the low price of starting at $475 a month, these guys will put a swimming pool in your backyard. And when you're done with it, they come take it away. My first response to this was, when I read it, I thought it was like literally for parties. Like, I'm throwing a party at my house. I want a swimming pool for that party. So how about if we go and rent for a weekend a swimming pool, fill it up with all that water, have the party, and then drain all the water out. And that instantly led to we live in a freaking desert, people, quit doing stuff like that. And then after really reading, I realized that this thing is all set up so you can have a swimming pool in your yard over the course of the summer, and then when you're not using it in the fall and it gets cooler, you just have them take it out. Nice, interesting idea. Actually, turns out one of our agents in the office actually did that because his wife was constantly requesting that her husband and her get a swimming pool or a house with a swimming pool so she could have a swimming pool. That is a brilliant solution besides paying the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 it's going to take to put a brand new pool in. $475 a month. That's not a bad idea if you're going to sit there and say, is this going to turn out like the Peloton or stuff that we got you, and next thing you know it's just gathering dust and clothes in the corner, or any other thing. It's like, it's a try before you buy. My biggest concern with these guys is pool safety. All right, let's go into the pool safety rant. One of the biggest killers of children in America today is drowning, accidental drowning, whether or not it's in the bathtub, in the reservoir or quarry where you go swimming, but most of it is swimming pools. And we have regulations, pool barrier regulations throughout the state, all about making sure the pools are safe and that people are not falling into pools, going into the pools. Little children are not crawling into the pools and drowning. This also includes pets, by the way. One of our agents here's sister lost her puppy one summer because the puppy fell in a pool and the water level was so low the puppy couldn't get out. Right? There's a happy visualization for you. But pets and children, but let's emphasize on the children. People don't understand that the pool barrier laws, there are requirements for it, not necessarily from your insurance company. These are state and local regulations and guidelines about the pools, and they can be different from city to city. In Peoria, for instance, I'm not sure if they're still doing this, and they should, because there's a great idea, is if the water was turned off to your house, between sales, and you needed the water turned on, the water guys would come up, and if you had a pool, would check to make sure that the pool equipment was in place, the safety equipment was in place, that everything was ready to go. If it wasn't, they would not turn the water on to your house until you took care of that. I like that idea. I think that should be statewide. All right. There are days I really think that, an annual inspection, or maybe even a pool license that requires an annual inspection to make sure we don't have the Monday morning drive time catching up on the local news over the weekend. And in Glendale, another child was found at the bottom of a pool, because it is really easy for pool barriers that at one point were in place to suddenly be removed. Over time, sometimes it's just inconvenient, so let's take the gate off. This is driving me crazy. Actually, one of the more common instances of a safe and secure pool area suddenly becoming a not as safe and secure pool area is broken latches. And another one that is really people wouldn't think about is, remember most regulations, right? Most regulation is you have to have a self-closing door between the house, or self-closing gate between the house and the pool area. What people do with that is that if they have a sliding door, all right, that sliding door will be self-closing. That sliding door that's self-closing also needs to have a latch above a certain height so little kids can't open it up. So if you're ever in there and you're looking at a house and you're trying to figure out why is there this latch up here, all right, that I have to open along with this to open up the door, that's the reason for that. So children cannot open up that door. But people will have that in place. They will have the self-closing doors, right? They'll be meeting the barrier regulations. And then they get a puppy and they put a doggy door in. Children are small. I would hazard to guess that your average 7-year-old could go through a doggy door that a golden retriever could go through, right? And it goes all the way down. So, sorry, flashy light. I thought it was my client who was supposed to call me 30 minutes ago calling me. So people put those doggy doors in after the fact, and they forget to realize that they're now allowing a penetration into the pool area. So this understanding the pool barrier laws is put out by the Arizona Association of Realtors, and they mention 3 things on this. 1, an above-ground pool needs to have the same safety equipment as an in-ground pool. So I'd be really interested to know whether or not every time these guys come out there and put a pool in, whether or not they're also modifying the entire house to make sure that the pool barriers are in place for your instant pop-up swimming pool. The other thing that people miss is that each city is different, and so you have to be specifically within regulations for what your city is. I will link to this where you can download this PDF in the show notes below, and it has a list of all the phone numbers when you call. Here at ProStar, we pass these out as part of our buyer package. When I'm meeting you for the first time as a buyer, you're going to be getting a package from me of all these various things. And I tell you, even if you're not planning on getting a house with a pool, right? Sometimes you might wind up finding the perfect house with a pool, so you pick up a pool anyways, all right? And I still want to make sure that you have this in hand. Because for the third thing, and this is very, very not well known, and I even come across real estate agents who don't realize this, it is a condition of the contract that you sign to purchase that house, that you will not take occupancy of that house until the pool is properly secured with the proper barriers. Right? And in fact, there's even a little initial part right under that paragraph that you have to initial, stating, I understand I cannot live in this house until it is, within compliance for the regulations. Right? Nobody ever does that. All right. If you have a VA loan, if you have an FHA loan, that will be a condition of the loan. All right. But with a conventional or cash, the appraiser is not going to call that out. Don't know who that number is, but I ain't going to answer that one. 855, whatever. So take the time, learn the regulations. Also, from a pool safety standpoint, it is amazing how often you find out that a child has drowned in a pool in the middle of a crowd. Right? There's a really, really awesome video I shared on Facebook a couple years ago on my private site. It was showing a child drowning in a crowded swimming pool, and it's not the child you think it is. And if I can find that video, I'm also going to link that in the show notes below, because it really is sort of shocking that drowning does not look like what you think it looks like. Right? It's not the person splashing with their hands around and going, help me, help me, help me, save me. Right? So I want to include that video in the show notes below. Yeah, long story short, pools, they're a big hole in the ground you throw money into. I don't think they're worth the time and investment. I think the best swimming pool in your life is your friend's swimming pool, which is properly gated and everything else like that, but it's not something that you're paying for. So, and I have friends who will completely go the other direction on that. It's like, oh no, I use my pool every third month and stuff. It's awesome. It's like, hey, good for you. How much chlorine did you have to throw into that? How many times does it turn green? How many households worth of water did you just waste because you live in a desert and you wanted to have a swimming pool? All right. Little editorial on that one. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it all up. You guys have a really, really good weekend. Watch your children and kids around pools. And if you're watching this on the night I release it, like I said, don't drink and drive tonight. Cinco de Mayo is one of the other amateur hour nights of the bar crowd and the bar scene. And work your circles. Have a great weekend. Talk to you guys later.